A good day to everybody viewing this video. I am Mrs. C. Borges and I will be teaching you the topic the organs of the Indian government, the Union Executive. In the previous videos, I taught you about the organs of the Indian government, but we dealt with the legislature. The legislature is basically that portion or that section of the parliament which deals with the law making body. Now we're going to study about the executive, that is the Union Executive. Now in the Union Executive, we basically study about the people who make sure that the laws are followed, and we will study about what are powers and what are privileges and how the entire Union Executive functions and works. I will be reading this chapter and I'll be explaining it. I would request you to please keep a pencil in your hand, because while I'm teaching this chapter, there are going to be some important points which I'll make you underline. And while we read through the chapter, you see in the book, you have some important words. They're known as the new words. Please make sure you read and learn those new words, because those new words will help you to understand the chapter better. And they can be asked also in the form of name the following definitions. They're important to learn because we do include them in your tests or in your exams. So they'll help you to score well. I'll begin the chapter. As studied in the previous chapter, it is the legislature which takes all the decisions or approves all the decisions of the government. The parliament only takes decisions or approves them. The decisions of the parliament are carried out by the executive. Thus, when we talk about the government, we usually mean the executive. So, see what happens is the parliament is divided into three sections: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. The legislative, they make the laws. The executive makes sure that those laws are followed, and if the laws are violated or broken, then it is the judiciary that makes sure that the offender is penalized or some kind of a fine is put on them, so that people fear that there is a repercussion if you break the laws, or if you take the functioning of the government very easily, or you don't pay heed to them. Now we're going to study about executives as in the people who are in the executive body, who all are included, who all are permanent, who all keep changing, who are political. There are a variety of subheadings. As I read, I will be explaining, so please listen very attentively. Political and permanent executive. In democratic countries, there are two types of executive. That means when we say democratic, that means it is the people in the country who choose, or who by the help of by voting choose their leader. So in India, what we have a voting system. We elect who we want to be the leader because we feel or we see there are certain qualities in that person. Hence, we feel that if that person is the leader, they will be able to guide and to make the country progress better and better. So we have political executives and we have permanent executives. Political executives are basically those who keep changing after a certain time period, and we have to re-elect them or have elections all over again, and we choose new people. Whereas permanent, once they're selected, now how are they selected? That as I read the chapter, you'll get to know. Once they're selected, they are permanent till the time they retire, or some kind of fault, some kind of misconduct is found in their behavioral pattern or the way they conduct themselves. Political executives. The political executives are elected by the people for a specific period of time. Please underline that. Elected by the people for a specific period of time. All the political leaders fall in this category. The political executives are more powerful than the permanent executives because they are elected by the people and are answerable to the people. The political executives decide the overall frame and objectives in which decisions on policies should be made. So the people who we elect as leaders, they are the people who make sure those that how the country is run. They bring about certain rules, or rather they implement certain rules, and they make sure they are followed, and they are in charge. They are the head. Permanent executives. The permanent executives are appointed on a long-term basis. They remain in office even when the ruling party changes. The permanent executives work under political executives, assist them in carrying out the day-to-day administration. Now, Political executives are like the prime minister. Permanent executives are like the president. Now, the president and the prime minister, they both work together, right? But it is the person who's more active, who's actually daily seeing what and how the country is run, is the prime minister. The union executive is the second main organ of the government at the center. It consists of three parts, namely, now we have the executive. There are three parts to the executive. That means there are three different set of people who make sure that the functioning of the country is done effectively. And who are they? Number one, the president. Number two, the vice president. Number three, the prime minister and the council of ministers. Now, you see, the prime minister is of a certain party, and there are a set of people from his party who he chooses as the council of ministers. They discuss matters together. They reach certain decisions after discussing them together. They work as one complete body, and then the country is accordingly, administered, or the administration of the country is only done when these three parts, as in the prime minister, the president, and the vice president, when they all work together, then only the country can function smoothly, and then only can we have our country progressing. The laws or the acts passed by the parliament are enforced by this very executive body to the government, which also includes the wide cadre of civil servants. That means, see, laws are made by the legislative body, right? Now, those laws have to be followed. So, the people who make sure that the laws are followed, the rulers who make sure that the laws are followed, are basically called the executives. Now, in the executive, you have a lot of council of ministers, you have a lot of civil servants. Who are these civil servants? The IPS and the IAS officers. They go through, they really have to be very intelligent. They have to pass certain tests to be on that position where they also help the country, where they help people to follow the rules and the regulations. You can't have a person who is not equipped, or who's not intelligent, or who's not efficient enough to make other people follow the rules. First, they themselves need to be efficient. Only then will other people listen to them. In India, we have the president, but not the presidential form of government. The president of India is the chief executive. He or she is the constitutional head of the Republic of India. The executive powers of the union government are exercised by him either directly or through officers subordinate to him. The president of India is the head of the state. He is also the first citizen of India. Now, right now, what we are doing is we are studying about the president. We are taking it bit by bit. See, everybody is equally important, but some people, their powers are more active than what the others. See, if we compare the prime minister and the prime minister is more active. He's more in the forefront. Whereas the president, it's not that he's absent. It's just that his duties or his responsibilities are a little different from what the prime minister conducts. Qualifications. Now, what do we need? What qualifications are required? We'll study about that. In order to qualify as a candidate for the presidential elections, a person, please underline these points, these are very important. You need to know what all qualifications are required to be a president, or to attest, or to become a candidate for the elections of the president. One, must be a citizen of India. You have to be an Indian citizen if you want to be a part of the Indian government. Number two, must have completed 35 years of age. That means he should be 35 or 30 years and above. Number three, must be qualified for election as member of Lok Sabha. That means that he has to be a part of the Lok Sabha too. Once he's a part of the Lok Sabha, only then can he be elected to the next level of being a part of the Raj Sabha. Must not hold any office of profit under the center or a state government. That means if a person wants to be a part of the functioning of the government, he cannot have his own private business. Either he takes care of the country, or he does his own business, or he has his own job separately.